Alright, most of y'all know me, Rennie Mann, down the road, Richland Springs, Texas. Thank y'all for having me back out. I appreciate the offer to come talk to y'all for a little bit. I'll try to go through most of this pretty quick. I know most everybody here has already heard my spiel pretty much. Like I said, I'm originally from Richland Springs, originally from Forney, Texas, about 30 miles east of Dallas. Graduated in Forney in 1990. Played baseball at Navarro, Eastfield, then went to Stephen F. Austin State University for a little bit before we went to work for our family glass business in Dallas. Moved to Richland Springs in 2008, brought our business down here, and just recently pretty much retired to chase this new dream of hopefully being y'all's next U.S. Senator. Why am I running? I'm a firm believer in God, family, and country. That's the way I was raised. That's what I believe. And I feel like those three main values that I hold dear to my heart are something that's not represented in Washington like they used to be by the people that we elect. I feel like we're told one thing to get a vote, and once they get elected, they pretty much just kind of do whatever they want to do, waste our tax dollars, and so on. I believe when I look at the United States of America, I look at it as an employee-owned business. We elect a board to run this business. That board is our government. We're the taxpayers. We tell them what to do. We call the shots. Although that is how this country is ran, I don't think our voices and our opinions are valued anymore. If they are, they're not valued by most, I would say. When I say it's an employee-owned business, I feel like our business has spent far too long taking care of other company employees than taking care of their own employees, the ones that pay the tax dollars, the ones that make the business run. We are the people that makes that clock tick. And when we spend our tax dollars on taking care of people from other countries, sending our tax dollars to other countries that were dancing in the streets on 9/11, I have a really big problem with that. I think the American people should come first and foremost, and any tax dollar that should be spent needs to be spent here, and if it goes overseas, it should only be to an ally of the United States. I'll get to some more of that here in a little bit. Our Second Amendment. I think our Second Amendment should be defended, not negotiated. I'm a huge supporter of it. We should be able to carry it all over. I don't feel, I don't see anywhere in the Second Amendment does it ever state that just because I cross a state line somewhere, I don't have the right to protect myself. It doesn't say anywhere in there that another state can tell me that I cannot defend my family or protect my family because I'm going through their state. I think you're taking one of my rights away when you do that. I'm sure, like, well, I know most of y'all, all of y'all are very well trained. I go to a lot of training. I'm like a guardian at Richland Springs. When I don't have anything else going on, go up there and I'll help out our police officer. And actually going to training next week in Carlsbad, veteran group called Gladiator Defense. Spend 4 days out there. I think I'm very well trained, and I think if you're willing to put in the time and the effort to better yourself and familiar yourself with your weapon system, I feel like I shouldn't have a so-called gun-free zone. The only person in the gun-free zone is going to be the bad guy. And that's another, you're taking my right away again, because if I choose to leave my weapon in the truck and I go to a gun-free zone and some nut tries to take me or my family out, I'm the one that's going to suffer. Or if I go in and I get caught with it, I'm gonna lose my license, and it hurts nobody but the person that's done all the right things. The bad guy has nothing to lose. But I would like to see something put in place, and I would try to push it to where there shouldn't be any problem carrying in all 50 states. I would like to see instead of just your license to carry, I'd like to see one in between that and say a law enforcement. I mean, the only thing that I do not have is I haven't been to the academy, and most of people will tell you that I probably have more training than most of your people in your sheriff department right now. And so I may go get pepper sprayed one day, I don't know. But we'll see what happens.
Gotta take off your glasses.
I don't want to do that.
You gotta go to a gas chamber.
You can just mouth off when you get pulled over.
That's tase.
Yeah, either one.
How do you feel you could adjust some of the laws that, for instance, if it shows, right, if you're short, or if you're short, if you lift up, then you're seeing it, right?
Right.
So how do you feel about that, and what do you think could be done?
Me personally,
Yes, sir. As far as open carry or concealed carry.
I'm not a fan of open carry. I feel like I'm going to be the first one to get shot.
Same.
But I do it at school. I mean, it's obvious. But I feel like it's a different circumstance. I don't want anybody knowing that I'm carrying wherever I go. It just draws attention. You might be just asking for it. I mean, I don't want to have to use it unless I absolutely have to. But if I have to, I'm not scared to.
Yes, sir.
But that's kind of where, I mean, you have the right to open carry, and that's what you want to do. That's your right. So, but I just don't choose to do it. I'd rather have it concealed. Does that answer your question, or did I get it right?
It wasn't open, it was concealed carry. It just couldn't be visible. But if somebody has a shirt on, for instance, and they lift up and then it's seen, then it... But
right.
You answered my question.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Why do we have so much gun violence? I'll give you my opinion. I've done a lot of thinking about this, and since the late 90s, it's kind of pretty much when it all started. It was Columbine, other than the University of Texas shooting. But I was like, what happened to our kids to they won't start going to school and shooting up a bunch of innocent kids? It just doesn't make any sense. And I started kind of putting two to two together, and I believe we've done a great disservice to our youth as parents. I think parents in the late 90s, or in the early 90s, I think, when it started happening. Well, first of all, everybody started pushing everybody has to win first prize and first place and everything. You can't lose ever. So kids don't know what it is like. It's like to fail. They don't know what it's like to fall in their face and have to get back up. They feel like everything should be handed to them. Then
participation trophies.
Yes. Yeah. That's just something I just highly disagree with. And then, so what happens, then we get our cell phones, and instead of spending time at the supper table or the dinner table talking about family, what you do today, most everybody nowadays, I see it all the time in Richland, they just go off to the corner and they're on their phone or playing video games, blowing people's heads off, and that's what they kind of get used to. And we've taken discipline and God out of our schools and somehow thought we were doing our kids a favor. And I think it has backfired extremely. I think we need to do everything we can, every chance we can, to get a little bit of God back in school. I would do everything that I could to see if that could happen.
I think the phones have desensitized.
Yes,
not
ma'am.
just the kids, but some of the parents.
Oh
now.
yeah, they don't know how to socialize.
Movies,
No, they
video
don't.
games,
you
all
know,
of it. It's
you get
become
together
a lot
and
more gory.
there's somebody sitting on their phone. I mean, and their kids are right there too.
Mm-hmm.
what are they sending to their children? I mean, there's not going to be any history of any of us anymore because nobody cares about where we've been, what we've done. I mean, they don't care. They have no sentimental value anymore. The phone, it's the phone.
Right.
It's the phone has desensitized their brains.
Oh, it has. I agree 100%.
I went to Sam's yesterday, and it tripped me out. I had to drive like a drunk driver because to avoid hitting people because they're so stuck on those damn phones, not watching out for what's going on, walking like this.
Mm-hmm.
Getting hit in the parking
And that's
lot.
what so many people. That's what how they are. They're stuck on their phone.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You can't live without it. But I think we have an opportunity now that when President Trump dismantled the Department of Education and turned everything back over to the state,
Yep.
that is, and the whole purpose, if I understand this correctly, if they're telling us the truth, is to give us, the people, back that choice, and we have school choice and yada yada yada, because that's what we want as people.
But how does the schools dictate as far as the school deciding that we're not going to do the phones and the parents turning around and saying my kid needs those phones?
Yeah, well, I had to sub the other day, and I forgot all about the state law being passed that no more phones in the classroom, and I caught one. I was kind of looking at it, telling my wife, she's our school secretary, and I said, yeah, I had so-and-so trying to hide his phone, but I saw it. She said, you should have took it away. And I said, I don't think, she was on the state law, it has to be taken up. I said, okay. I was waiting for him the next day. And I got him, I let him know beforehand, don't pull it out or I'm going to take it. But I think with that being turned over to the states now, and with school choice, I believe we have an opportunity to put a little bit more God back in our schools. Because if it's truly up to what the people want, I believe, and I would push for it, that I would like to see an elected, not just like your FCA that you have Fellowship of Christian Athletes before, like Wednesday mornings before school. I would like to see an elected class to where every student, if they wanted to, had the option to go to that class. Local preachers from the Baptist Church, Church of Christ, Catholic, whatever, could. I bet they would love to volunteer to come do an hour a day or something like that. And I believe that we should really be pursuing something like that, because you don't have to. It's not mandatory. If parents didn't want their kids to go to that, they don't have to. But if it's truly what the people want, I think the people ought to be able to vote on it, especially out here in the rural areas like where we're from. I would say it would be an overwhelmingly 90+% vote. And now you have school choice. If you don't want to go to that school now, you have the choice to go somewhere else. But that's something else that I would like to really push. And I think the more that we can put God back in our school, the better it would help our kids. And I think it would mean a lot down the road.
After Charlie Kirk, you'd be surprised a lot of these big cities.
Well, we actually filed for the big cities that are trying to do it.
So many of them are going to the universities.
Mm-hmm.
They're now getting so many people going to these the Charlie Kirk revivals and everything.
Right. We actually just a couple weeks ago filed for Richland Springs to get a Turning Point USA chapter in high school. And I think I saw the other day that Oklahoma's the first state that every high school, or I think it's high school, or school, every high school will have a chapter. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
That gave me goosebumps.
So that's something we're trying to do, and the more I can help do it, the better. One of the big things that really had me wanting to run for office is our national debt. We have a $37 trillion national debt, and when I heard on the radio one morning going on a delivery that Senator Cornyn went and signed a letter with all the other Senate Republicans not to go along with the debt negotiations until structural spending reform was done. That was pretty much the last red flag that I could handle, and that's when I made up my mind I was getting in, because we have a 37 trillion, well at that time it was 32 trillion, and we are wasting tax dollars like it's a kid with his parents' credit card. And we're the parents with the card, and all those people up there with their Harvard degrees and all that stuff are the kids that pay for it. And when he went and signed that letter, that pretty much told me you're not playing for Team We the People, you're playing for the establishment. And when he turned his back on Senator Cruz over the Affordable Care Act, that was another big red flag. And then when he did what was it with the Second Amendment with red flag laws and raising the birth dates, Safer Communities Act. But we have got to do something with our debt. I'll explain later how I think I have a plan to actually do something about it. I would like to see entitlement reform from top to bottom. Everything that we do, I think it ought to be examined, and if it's not benefiting the American people and it's what tax dollars are intended to be used for, by what the Constitution says, not what the establishment or the deep state says, the Constitution. It's either a go or a no-go for the American people. It's not hard. Like, for example, Planned Parenthood. How many tax dollars do y'all think Planned Parenthood got in 2023? $1.5 billion tax dollars. That's your money. You know how much the NRA's ever got? Ever? Zero. Who makes that decision that it's okay that we can send that $1.5 billion to something that I completely disagree with?
The House and the Senate.
There you go. Nobody up there fights for it. It just amazes me that nobody's not up there just screaming bloody murder, raising hell. What are we doing? We have a $37 trillion debt, and we're just giving money away.
None of our taxpayer money should go to either one.
No. There's a way. Just like the NRA, if there's enough people that support that cause, there will be enough people to finance it.
That's right.
It shouldn't fall. I shouldn't have to pay for what you want or what I want. If and how many tax dollars have you ever gotten grants or anything like that? I bet it's very few.
I got zero.
Yeah, but I can't think of a better cause, but zero. But we can get $4.5 billion to support LGBT, whatever, and Dubai. And that's
We
okay.
actually have gotten grants from companies in Maine, which I don't know how they found us, but zero for the state or the government.
That's something that I'd like to see change, and I'll kind of get in a little more depth with that in a minute. Alright, now while I'm really here, the veterans. I would like to see the Defense Department take over the VA, or now War Department.
Department of War.
The Department of War. I would like to see them take over the VA. I'd like to see the military take up care of the military. Everywhere that I've been, and I'd like to thank y'all for having me back, because y'all really opened my eyes to something that I had no idea existed. And everywhere I go, no matter if it's one veteran or another group of veterans, wherever it is, I pretty much hear the same story. It's just a different place. They feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're not valued. They feel like when they need to go see somebody, they have to see somebody different almost every time, and it's almost like they want. It's more about hearing the war stories again than what's actually helping y'all. And it really infuriates me that the few things that I've heard that really are the problems, especially when you get into the suicides and everything like that, that I don't think the veterans are asking for a whole lot. And like one of the things I've been on, somebody here told me they would like to see military doctors instead of civilians, somebody that can relate to them, that's been through what they've been through, or at least can relate, not just some Joe Blow that just graduated from SMU or wherever it is and want to listen to them. And I think if we had a program in place to where we allow, after you put your time in, you serve, I would like to see programs put in place. You can go get any medical degree in any field you want, and the United States government should have to pay for it. I think that would put qualified military medical personnel all over the United States, not just your big cities. They could have work for the VA, they could work for a private practice, they could work for the local hospital, they could work in their hometown, they could work anywhere, in any field that they wanted to. And then that would give you medical, military personnel that you can get treated by. The other thing is, this percentage thing. I don't understand what the whole percentage thing is about, but I hear it's always changing. That's another thing that kind of ticks me off. Everywhere where I go. Well, they told me this time I was 50. Then this time I was, well, then now I'm back down to 40 or whatever. I'm not a veteran. I don't know what that means, but I know it sucks.
At the VBA, what they need to do is take all the damn civilians out of there and put military members in there. Because the civilians that work in there, they're there to screw us veterans every single damn time. It's like the VBA, they have like, the more veterans you deny, the bigger bonus you get. I don't know it for a fact, but I mean, when you give them your medical, the way it's supposed to work, if you show them proof that it happened in the military, and I was a VSO for 5 years before I got railroaded, so I know that, and I've gone to school for it. You're supposed to show them it happened to you in the military. Then you're supposed to show them that it's still aggravating you in civilian life. When you show them those two things, there's your proof, and there's your proof in civilian life. That is a fully developed claim. That is proof that you're still having a problem. Every time I submit claims for that, they deny it, saying it didn't happen in the military. You got the proof right there. Those are civilians working for bonuses. If you take the civilians out of the VBA and put military members in there, you've got veterans working with veterans. That's not happening at the VBA. And that's where us veterans get screwed at. And like I told you before, I'm still fighting with them from 1992 claims.
Right.
You've got Vietnam veterans still fighting for their claims from Vietnam veterans.
Well, I have a solution for that. I can't believe it hasn't been addressed. How about when you sign your name on that dotted line and you pretty much volunteered your life? I mean, there's nothing any more valuable than your life, or to your family, your life.
You would think so.
Okay. But you signed on, you volunteered to write your name on that dotted line. And you can be called at any minute, and you might not ever come back home to see your family. Ever. What the hell is so hard about if you have a problem, just get it fixed? and go to any doctor that you want. We have $4.5 billion to give to the LGBs and all that stuff and over here, and we have $1.5 billion to do this over here, and we to give medical treatment to 20 million illegal immigrants. That's not taking care of our own. Taking care of our own would be real simple. You have a bad knee, back, whatever it is, okay, I'll tell you what, why don't you go down here at Presbyterian or Methodist or Baylor or wherever it is, and let's get it fixed and go home and get better. It's not too hard. It doesn't seem hard to me. And the fact that somebody hasn't done that yet really, I mean, really pisses me off, to be honest with you. Because I don't think it's asking a lot. I don't think that's asking a lot. I don't think that it's asking a lot to have a military doctor or see somebody in the military field to go get taken care of. It's not that hard, and you shouldn't have to go to Dallas or Temple or Austin or San Antonio if you live out here to get treatment. There ought to be better options, and nobody does anything. It just really frustrates me. And I don't see why.
So the problem is if you don't have those symptoms immediately still in the military, then it becomes like something that adapts over the years. I've had guys that's had crates dumped on them and everything else, and yes, their back hurt, but like I just got to power through it because I don't want to report this, and etc. whatever, and then all the years later, like their back's giving out on them. Ankles, bulging disc in their neck, etc. whatever, and then the VA is going through and they want to debate on, well, is it service related? And so you spend your whole damn life trying to go through to say, all right, well, what connects this to say it's service related, to be able to have anything done.
That's just a bunch of crap.
VA should have zero to say about our disability. VA is what screws us veterans. Their evaluation, they screw the veterans every time. You would think VA is here to help us veterans. They're not.
Well, I promise you, if I somehow get elected, one of the first things I'm going to try to do, and it kind of gets into this in a little bit too, but I'm also a firm believer in the up and down vote, item by item. I mean, you'll never see anybody that's more of a Trump supporter than I am. But this big, beautiful bill, I'm telling you, there's a big, beautiful bundle of wasted money in there somewhere.
That's what pissed Elon Musk off about it.
But I think everything should be voted on item by item, up and down vote. And I would like to see, put on the floor, throw that out there. Anybody that served in the United States military, make that a new law. And then see who's going to vote against it on either side of that aisle. And then let their constituents deal with them. Because there's not one person that I can see that would say, I would not want to see any of our veterans taken care of.
They have to go back to the item line veto. That used to work perfect.
Make it law. And I like to see it. Who's going to vote it down?
Yep.
But nobody has the balls to do it.
Nope.
But anyway, those are the things that I would like to see change for our veterans. Next thing is our dependence on China. China is, I think, our biggest Achilles heel. I can't believe that.
Taiwan.
Huh?
And Taiwan.
Yeah.
I don't believe Trump is still working with them. They ought to completely exclude
I think we
them.
should cut China off
Yes.
completely.
Let them suffer.
I think we are literally financing our own demise with them. They are adding at least 7% to their military every year, and there's only one reason they're doing that. There's only one person they're trying to catch. One country,
us.
and that's us. And we are buying everything from them. We are paying them to come after us. That's the way I look at it. And I would like, if I got elected, I would like to get other congressional members and to push to do an all-out ban and like to push our allies with us. I mean, if we want to get rid of China, we can get rid of China. We don't have to fire a shot. We can break them. But we have to take our dependency off of them. Did you know most of our, I heard this on they couldn't believe it, most of our military parts are made in China. Whose idea was that? I mean, that just blows me away. That one of our biggest adversaries is control. I always knew they made most of our drugs, and we have to wait on everything, and they gave us the coronavirus. But
Yeah.
I can't believe they actually build most of our parts for
Antibiotics. We depend on them for antibiotics.
But I would
You
push
can't even
to
fucking
get
talk.
I would push to get rid of our dependence on them completely, and just get rid of them completely. I believe we should still be energy independent and energy dominant. We should be drilling and drilling and drilling. I just came back from West Texas, and for the first time in a long time, the old pump jacks was up and down.
Love it.
Right.
Love hearing that.
It's about time. We start selling our energy to the rest of the world and make our allies. I mean, if they want to have our military support, they need to get in line. They don't need to be buying it from Russia. They don't need to be buying it from anywhere else. They need to be coming from us. If they want to depend on us for security, well, there's also it's a two-way street.
Look at Europe. They're griping about the war, and they're supplying Russia because they're buying their oil.
Yeah, and while we're paying 3 times as much for Ukraine than any other country that's neighboring Ukraine. Our militarize our borders. I know Trump's done a whole lot with our borders, and that's the lowest it's been. So I think it's all days since
1970.
Is that what it was?
Yep.
And that's great. I'm glad they did it.
So,
But I don't see what took so long. Anytime we have an influx of aliens like that, I think we ought to have our military lined up on there. And I mean,
only one did it was Texas.
yeah. I mean, if you really want to find out,
Planes going over and checking for all the tunnels. Using
Yeah.
their IDR.
But I'm glad that it's somewhat under control. But I would also, and I love how Trump has got those warships over there off the coast of Venezuela. They've taken out some drug boats. I like that. I would like to go a step further. If I was elected, I would try to persuade the rest of the congressional members to persuade our leadership to actually go in. And there's a couple of things that might be a hard swallow for some, the next couple of things I'm about to say, but actually go in and take care of drug cartels like we would ISIS or Hamas or anybody else. I know we talked about the 22 a day. 8,000, if you count the 22, was that 8,000 a year? But it's more like, was it 44 to 48? Really, isn't it, TJ? If you count Texas and California?
Yeah.
Okay. So how many American lives is it?
That's minus Texas and California.
Right.
Yeah, right. And that was a 22 a day. But actually, if you look it up, it was, what was it, 68 a day or something close to that. And that was minus California and Texas, because the VA would not post that shit.
See, my question is, how many American lives is enough before we actually start doing something? Because I've been doing a lot of thinking about this as well, because we went to war in Afghanistan for 21 years because we had 3,000 people murdered on 9/11. So is 3,000 people? Is that the limit? Because we're not doing it for the 8,000 or the 22 a day or the 44 or whatever it is. But we allow drug cartels to murder 30,000 people a year, more than any terrorist organization. But that's what the drug cartels are doing. And they're allowing the fentanyl coming in from China across our borders and kill 75,000 Americans a year. We spend over $1 trillion a year fighting drug overdose. Those drug overdoses, I think it's 107,000 a year. That's what I believe it was. So what's that number that we'll actually start doing something? I mean, I love taking the boats out, but I want to go after the drug cartels just like we would ISIS, Hamas, or any other terrorist organization. We have the capabilities. If you want to stop the problem, let's stop it. Let's go straight.
The OGA
That are,
or the government agency.
Yeah,
I think they probably send in somebody quiet,
that's.
but
Right.
I agree.
I'm all for it. Now the other pill is going to be hard to swallow, and we have a drug problem. But I think anybody that's caught smuggling drugs or dealing drugs in the United States, I think you ought to get the death penalty. Why do I
That's what
say
President
that?
Trump's pushing now.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
Well, I haven't heard that, but the reason I say that, I know it sounds harsh and it sounds terrible, but the guys smuggling the drugs to our families and kids in the street and
or just
dealers,
killing hundreds and hundreds of others.
yeah, do they care that the stuff they're dealing is killing over 107,000 Americans a year, or the fentanyl 75,000? Do they care? Well, if they did, they wouldn't be dealing it. So why should I care about their? I think if you're caught and you want to stop it, I mean, it sounds terrible, and it
While we move
sucks.
it.
But sooner or later, I mean, China, that's one thing they do good. They have the death penalty for that, and they have no drug problem. That's the one thing that I'll give China credit for. And I think that's something that we ought to pursue. And any state that wouldn't go along with it, then I don't think they should get any taxpayer dollars to help fight drug addiction. I don't think we should be paying tax dollars money to go set up a clean needle booth out there for them and make sure you got clean needles and a place to shoot up and everything else. You're encouraging the problem, not taking care of it. But that's where I am on that. Now this, we'll get to my little math problem here. I was trying to think of a solution. How could we change the way we run things in Washington to where we actually do what's right by the American people and by the taxpayer? To where, like for instance, when the government's shut down right now, it infuriates me when I hear one side saying this, one side saying that, and they're probably both a little bit right and they're both probably a little bit wrong, because they got crooked ones on both sides. But to literally come down to the table and have to work on something and do what's right by the taxpayer and American people. So I thought, well, let's see, our projected budget at the time was $2.6 trillion, I think.
Yes.
Okay, 2.6 trillion. Alright. What we did in our school board when we got in a full budget crisis, we just did a 10% cut across the board. I don't think 10%, when you got a $37 trillion debt, it shouldn't be hard to cut 10% back on something. I mean, there shouldn't be a problem in the world. But if you did that, that 10%, that 10% would be 260 billion. 260 billion divided by 1,000th of a percent. That would give you $26 million. With that $26 million divided by all 535 members of Congress and the Senate, if they stay with under that 10% at the end of the year, instead of giving you a raise every year for not doing your job and sending our debt more through the roof, I think those days should be over. That's the only job that I've ever heard of that people actually give themselves raises for driving the people more in debt. But they do it. So, with that 26 million divided by 535, if you stayed under 10% budget, that would give you...
What's the 535?
That's you got your 100 senators and 435 representatives.
Right.
That's your total Congress. you'd have a $48,598 raise at the end of the year if you stayed for doing your job, staying 10% under. If you only say got a little dicey, we only stayed 5% under. 5% would give you a $24,299 bonus at the end of the year. But if you go over 10%, I say up to 10%, I think you ought to have your pay cut for going over budget, just like anybody else, like in our house. It's time for we take care of our, take care of our house before we start taking care of somebody else's. But with what is left over out of that, if you stay within the 10%, you would have $259,974,000 that you could put back on international debt. Or, yes, sir.
Well, if you did something simple like made it so that no state representative can make any more than the gross median of said state, therefore giving them incentive to make their state better and raise their own paycheck.
I would not have
That
a
would
problem with
save an
something
awful
doing
lot
like
of
that. That's the problem, though. Nobody's ever come up and said anything like that. They don't want to, because their hands in the cookie jar. It's too easy. But yeah, that'd be something I'd be very interested in looking at. But yeah, and so, and if you only stay within the 5%, that's another almost $130 billion that you could be applying towards our national debt. Or if you had a problem to come in, our military needed a little bit more, whatever. Or I don't know. Let's do something where our veterans don't have to sit in line and go get their back fixed. Get it taken care of. That money could be used for that. Instead of that clock on that national debt ticking and ticking and ticking and ticking, I want the ticking to stop and actually start going backwards. And I don't hear of anybody coming up with a plan on how to do it. Will this work? I don't know.
Well, you know that $260 billion you got there? That's the amount of tariffs that we're getting in, all that
Right.
money. You know, they're talking about as far as giving it to the people, that should be going toward paying off the interest on our debt.
Mm-hmm.
Our debt, like who do we actually owe?
Every country on this globe.
We're given like billions and billions of dollars every year to all the countries in this globe.
The bad part
That
about it, most of
200
it is stolen from Social Security.
That
where my money
$260 billion what we pay on just on interest.
The next biggest one, debt holder of ours is Japan, then China. I mean, Japan, they're an ally. China's not. But I've kind of gone through my spiel. I know there's a lot of people running. There, you have John Cornyn,
Which is a waste of oxygen.
Thank you.
we have Ken Paxton, and I think Ken Paxton's been a great Attorney General. I'm never going to say anything bad about either one of them.
I will. They've sickened him because they're back in Spiller.
Well, there's probably, I think, 8 of us in it right now. But so far, I try to keep up as much as I can, like on websites, things like that. But I have not seen anybody that actually has a plan or an idea. I'm not just saying America, Texas first, Trump, like everybody else. And now we have Wesley Hunt in it. And I know he's a Army veteran. And I've got people helping me.
So let me ask you something.
Yes, sir.
And it's something that I come across constantly with a veteran organization, and I'm actually doing it personally. So you receive all this bullshit through like your deployments and everything else, being in the military. And like I stated earlier, like it's one of those deals to where maybe you don't feel it right then, or you don't want to report it because like you want to continue, you want to get sent in the back, whatever. All right, but you get out and shit starts hurting in all different areas and all that. But the VA wants you to, even though that you have your paperwork to prove on through all your combat, receiving your CIVs or whatever it is, but then turn around and want all these damn statements from your outside influences on the people you just know and how they can see it, affecting you, your family on before and after, on how that affected you before and after, the people that you served with before and after. So what they're asking you is to go and find all these guys that you had served with and women and write up these damn statements. Most people block this shit out so much in their heads to try to escape that, to where reliving that hurts them to even try to help you.
Kind of like a buddy letter, TJ.
Yes.
Late statement.
Yes. And so, I mean, where do we go from on that?
I really think,
I literally had to do this yesterday.
if I don't get elected, I hope whoever does hears what I'm trying to say, because like I said a while ago, I don't see how anybody can vote against that, to where you get taken care of no matter what. And I cannot think of a better way. I know Biden was in office, our enrollment was down a lot, now it's back up, but I cannot think of a better way to get our enrollment up than actually take care of our military. They have problems, you take care of it, and don't let stuff like this happen. I can't believe, from some of the stuff that y'all told me, I'm not real sure one how anybody really want to volunteer to be treated like that sometimes. But if you actually took care of them, can you imagine how many people would be standing in line to serve this country, and you wouldn't have any problems with the low enrollments or anything like that, and you actually did take care of your student. I mean, that's what gets me. You're going to tell me if you actually took care of somebody, made it easy for them to get the help they needed, and they could go where they wanted to, those suicide rates wouldn't drop? There's no way that you can tell me that those suicide rates would not drop if you just took care of them. And it's not a lot to ask.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of those suicides are in the VA parking lot because they literally don't want to take that shit back home to their family for them to deal with. Like, you're the one shut me down.
Yep.
That's where shit happens.
They'll go in, rent one.
And it's just a fucking write-off, and they go on about it.
I think it was, what was it, David Bradshaw? Was his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually figured he was going to be here today, but
I think he was the one telling me.
Dog bites.
Tell me one night
rabies
out
and
there
all that shit.
that it would feel like they just sitting there waiting to give you enough excuses to keep you pawning you off to where eventually you just die and quit complaining. That's how he felt. I think he was the one that told me that.
Yes.
Yes, that's insane.
Yeah, but we also have so many veterans that come to us that's never been to the VA because they don't know their approach, and they don't feel like that it's something big enough to take to them. They have the documentation, but it's almost like they don't want to burden them with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to have a whole nother conversation with them as far as, yes, you need to do this because it also affects your family. Like, your family is part of that, and the more burdens that you carry on as far as whatever, ankle pain or knee pain or whatever from military experiences, that you need to be able to go through and do that. But it's a story where most veterans don't even want to approach the VA with.
It's just,
I mean, you could use
I don't see
AFFF,
what's so hard.
for example.
Yeah.
Before they had
I
the
mean,
3M,
hell, you-
they had the 3M plugs.
You got a lot of things that you need to
Yeah.
be worked with the VA.
I
But and Germany as well. You know, but I mean, it's just one of those. It's
kind of
crazy.
like Pendleton with their
It's
water.
crazy,
Stuff
like
comes back
on
and
the shit you have
catch
to
it.
jump through, the hoops you have to jump through to be able to do that.
I really think out of all the stuff with the national debt, drugs, China, all the problems we have, I really honestly think this would be the easiest one to fix and the quickest to fix it. If they just, and it's and like I'm not saying anything about Wesley Hunt. He's a Army veteran, Black Hawk pilot. How do these people that are up there that are veterans, how is it that they have not done anything? That's what I don't understand. It's not that hard. I just want somebody to go up there one time, just like I said, put it up on the floor, up and down boat. Tell me who's going to deny it. Problem solved. They just said, I told y'all last year, what's his name, General Lloyd Austin,
Yeah.
that he had that magic wand. He said the wage of that magic wand, he got the all the benefits back for the don't ask, don't tell. I mean, that was pretty important, whether you were gay or not, I guess, to get that. But when we're losing
my understanding,
minimum of 22 a
J.D.
day, and
Vance
that's not important.
Well, from my understanding, J.D. Vance has actually made it easier for the VA, and so I'm saying this through my experience. I have not been since J.D. Vance took over,
I hope somebody's doing something.
but it has absolutely sucked. Out of the almost 20 years of me being out, 16 point whatever years that I've been out.
I just don't see why it's hard to get into the hospital and say, hey, I need to get a knee replaced, whatever, and send that to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and they'll take care of it. Peace, Kate, let's go. Hop in. We'll see you in the morning. We'll have surgery. We'll fix it. Or we need to go see the doctor and talk a little bit.
Man, that'd
Easy
be-
peasy.
That'd be awesome.
I had to fight with them 13 years before they gone and did my total knee replacement. And I said, P, if they would have paid attention to 4 complaints I did on the PA, my wife would still be here today. But they ignored all 4 complaints, and he ended up causing her death.
So going into what you were saying that you would fight for would be the military would run the VA. I think that's a perfect plan because I think y'all could run
Certain
it.
military.
Yeah.
We had dumbasses in the military,
I
same
don't
as we have
know.
dumbasses in the real
You
world.
know. But I can understand that, and then this is just my input of what I'm learning here tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
And you talked about how China makes most of our military parts. That to me, that should be a big X. Let's just stop. Just as well as our drugs.
Yep.
They could at any given time annihilate us.
Oh, yeah. Easy.
You know, make faulty equipment, give us faulty drugs. And so these are some questions that came in. Not only does China do the drugs in the military, but their energy grid
Mm-hmm.
and the components for all of that are made in China.
Yep.
I mean, they could be setting us up for doomsday.
Well, that's another big, I think was one of the biggest hoaxes, this whole green energy thing.
Yes, that is
that's
a
the
big
biggest
hoax.
scam other
Big
than
hoax.
Obamacare that's ever been pulled over the American people.
Which they're fighting now.
And then this one question is a good point, is that Congress needs to empower border states. Because our border,
Mm-hmm.
I think it should be ran by the states, not, well, of course, President Trump, but, you know, I don't know, what is your thought on the border?
Being,
Empower states to fight at our borders. Empower
Oh, yeah.
the states to
like
fight.
like for example, during the Biden administration, when nothing
Yes.
was being done.
Right.
Oh, I think Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, you should have had the full authority to go
Right.
take care of business.
Right.
If your government ain't gonna take care of it, the state government should.
Then the states,
They
yes.
deployed Marines to Mexico, didn't they?
Sir?
Didn't they deploy some Marines to Mexico?
You know, I don't know.
I think they're right on the border. if I'm
Yeah,
not
now they
mistaken.
are with Trump president, yeah.
So that's it.
I like this
Some
one.
points were well made.
Well, thank you. But like I said, I know there's a lot of people, but I really honestly believe that I'm the only one that is putting, not just saying, I'm actually have plans. Will they work or not? I can't tell you 100% yet, but I think they will. But I know electing somebody that's just part of the establishment is not ever going to change anything.